Hello, welcome to the data channel and you are watching Python for Data Professional course. And as part of this playlist that we are bringing up, so we are as part of the topic 2, so we'll be explaining how Python stands out from the other programming languages like Java, C, C++, JavaScript and SQL for that matter. And why exactly Python is most preferred programming languages compared to other languages because so all the programming languages are meant to actually do the similar activity, right? So, but even though in that case, like why why Python is more preferred in terms of any kind of a programming languages when you compare that are available. So that we will discuss in this particular video, and so that we will understand what is the benefit of using the Python or why the Python programming language is relevant in the market or relevant in the IT industry to work with the data processing or the data transformations related things. So before proceeding, if you're new to this channel, we would recommend you to please subscribe and also press bell button for instant notifications. So let's get started. So as we say, Python stands out from other programming languages due to its unique combination of readability, simplicity, and versatility, right? And we will compare this with different programming languages. And to start with, we will take Python as a first example, Python and Java as a first comparison. And if you really see Python versus Java, so these are the three key parameters we are considering here. First is syntax and readability. So why Python stands out here is like emphasize Python already almost emphasizes readability and simplicity with a clean, straightforward syntax that are more intuitive to a programmer, and because of the indentation, so it makes programming a program more readable for the developer perspective, and this makes Python more concise and easy to read and write and document it, right? So that's the reason it becomes a developer friendly in terms of how do you write the program and read the program from the developer perspective. And also from the, if you take Java as a comparison, right, it has more verbose and complex syntaxes to remember, and also when you write the program, it might look little complicated when you really compare that with the Python. Say for example, for the same program you write in Python, which may take around 20 lines. So the same program you can write in in Python, it might be in 5 lines or 10 lines. So that makes Python more powerful in terms of syntax and readability. Okay. And next, let us take typing as an example. And when we compare typing as an example with Python and Java, so Python dynamically it is dynamically typed, and like meaning variable types are determined at runtime, so allowing a great flexibility for the developers. So like say for example in Python, so you can just write it as like a equal to 100, right? So the same, if you want to write in Java, so you have to mention what programming what data type you want to name it, right? So you have to make int a equals to 10. So you need to define this keyword in Java, right? But in Python, so you not say whether it is a int, string, whatever, right? It is dynamically, it takes that understanding during the runtime. So that is why the Python is powerful. But in terms of Java, so it is more statically typed. That means you have to define a, like for each variable, so you need to define a data type upfront. So that makes it more kind of like rigid in terms of that like readability or from the programmer perspective, right? And this also can lead sometimes to a more like lead to more robust and error-free code, but with a more bipolar plate boilerplate, right? So the thing is like why we say boilerplate is like, so you cannot make it dynamic, right? It sometimes it might be 10, other time it might be like ten, right? So if it is ten, so if you are defining it as an int, then you might get an error, right? But in terms of Python, so whether it is 100 or whether it is a like 10 in string, so it will dynamically take that value to particular variable and particular variable with a particular data type, and it assigns that dynamically. So that's the beauty of using Python here, right? And comparing to runtime, so Python is an interpreted language which makes it slower in terms of execution compared to the different languages, but it is easier for quick development and debugging. So compared to Python, like Java might be faster, but again from the development perspective, if you see like Python, you do not compile the code and build like if you are worked in Java, right? So you need to compile the code and then some build that file and then run it in a JVM virtual machine. But in terms of Python, it is like you can do agile development. You can quickly make changes and debug it and do the changes and again debug it. So that way, Python is very easier. But if you take entire execution, it might be slower compared to Java. But that's not the point here. The point here is it is quicker for the development and debugging. So in terms of Java, so it is executed, it uses a JVM, which offers better performance and portability across different platforms. And this portability anyway, Python also gives that. But only difference in terms of runtime here is Java is more faster in terms of execution, but Python is more faster in terms of development and debugging. But even though slower in terms of execution, so we have a lot of clusters, Databricks, Spark, engines that we use for Python, so it doesn't matter in today's world because we have a greater execution engines, right? And let's take an example of when Python will be better and when Java will be better, right? So if you have a use case where you have a you have a data science use case or web development or automation, you want to do some automation or scripting. So due to its extensive library and simplicity, Python should be your option. But when you compare that with Java is mostly commonly used in enterprise level application, Android development, or large scale systems due to its robust performance and compatibility with different platforms. So in that case, you need to prefer Java, right? So next we will have a comparison of Python versus C, C++ programming languages. And again, let's take three parameters here: syntax and readability, performance, and memory management, right? So in terms of syntax and readability, Python is a high level, easy to read syntax that abstract many of the complex details of a hardware management, right? And but the C, C++, we usually call it as a low level or sometimes middle level programming languages. And it brings it is helpful in terms of controlling the system resources and memory management. But if you do not do that, then Python is a preferred programming language, right? And when it comes to compared to performance, right, Python is actually generally slow because it is an interpreted language and it is not optimized for low level operations. But C++ are much faster when you compare that with a Python programming language because it does the direct compilation to the machine code and the low level hardware is having access to that particular programming languages. But end of the day, if you what matters is Python is quick for the development, right? So performance will come into picture, but the thing is, in the today's world, we have cloud and we have scalability is not a matter, and we have a large scale distributed systems. So that is why performance doesn't much matter when it comes to because the ratio of the performance, the trade-off that you do with the performance and the development time that it takes, it doesn't, it is very less. So development time is very important because that is where we are working in the agile world, right? So the development changes and how programmer friendly the particular code can be or the programming language can be. So that is crucial in terms of uh, so that is why Python is more preferred, even though performance is little lesser when compared to C, C++. And when it come to memory management, Python tries to handle memory management automatically through garbage collector, right? And C++ requires manual memory management. So again, here also Python is more programmer friendly or developer friendly because it has automatic garbage collection. So, but if you see in C, C++, so you have to explicitly perform a garbage collection, and developer has that control. So developer has that control, but again, that comes with a responsibility for preventing any memory leaks and errors. So which is not possible in Python because in Python it is more automated way. So again, that's the reason Python is more preferred, because developers might be intended here to kind of forget, or maybe lazy to kind of do all these operations. So in that case, Python will take care of those operations, right? And what use cases you want to go for C, C++ or Python, right? So if you take Python is preferred for rapid development, prototyping, and application development, where easy of use is more crucial or critical than execution speed. That is why, so when you want to choose between these two, right? So wherever it is like a rapid development, or wherever it is an agile way of developing things, so then you should, obvious choice is Python, because if you choose C, C++, it is very time consuming to kind of do the deployment. If you take in Python, if you want to develop some application, if it is taking 2 months, the same application if you want to develop in C, C++, it might take 10 months. So that is why, if you want to choose like a rapid development or agile kind of development and prototyping and application, where ease of use is more crucial than the execution speed. So in this like that is true with most of the application today. Execution speed does matter, but when you deploy that in the production clusters, which are very powerful clusters, or the virtual machines, or the clusters, or the Spark engines, so that will take care of that execution speed, right? So that is why Python is more preferred, and there might be few cases where ideal system programming, game development, real-time systems, and application where performance and resource management are critical. So in that case, you still can go to C++, but C++ is nowadays mostly used for system programming, because it is a low level or middle level programming, but very rarely used in application developments. So next, let's quickly jump to the Python comparing with JavaScript. So JavaScript also, most of the developers, it's one of the developer friendly, and there are a lot of developers using JavaScript, and many like JavaScript, right? And when you compare that with the Python, so again we will take three parameters here: execution environment, typing, and syntax and usage. So Python typically executed on the server side, used for backend development and data analysis, machine learning, and automation. So when you compare that with the JavaScript, and JavaScript primarily executed in the browser, used for client-side web development to create interactive web pages. So JavaScript has a particular use case, right? So here it is mostly, and 99% or 90, more than 90%, it is definitely used in the client-side web development and creating interactive web pages. So it has other use cases, but most of the cases that is a primary use case. But when you come to the Python, so it is mostly used for the backend development and data analysis, machine learning kind of use cases. And so nowadays, this particular area of development, right? So it has been replaced with advanced Node.js, or like advanced web development frameworks. So we have a lot of development framework has, I would say, not replaced JavaScript, but made the JavaScript programming very easy and developer friendly. So you need not learn the JavaScript. It is very become as intuitive. It's easy to use nowadays, right? But Python has its own use cases, which is very strongly used, which makes it option for machine learning and data science, data analytics use cases, which JavaScript cannot do, right? And typing, so as we already seen, Python is a dynamically typed. We already seen what is dynamically typed, and JavaScript also dynamically typed. But the thing is, it has its own different approach. Like it has its objects and inheritance compared to the Python. So that's the reason it makes little bit complicated, the data typing, right, compared to a Python. And if you see the syntax, Python emphasis on the simplicity and readability, as we already seen, and it has its own extensive standard libraries. But JavaScript is more versatile in terms of where it can run, like, and it's thanks to rise for the Node.js, where we were discussing, which allows JavaScript to be for more server-side programming language, right? So JavaScript has become server-side programming languages, but still, like Python is, it cannot come near to Python in terms of the extensive libraries the Python has, especially to work with the data. And use cases, if you see, if you want to choose a particular programming language, between Python and JavaScript, where you have a wide range of application beyond web development. So including scientific computing, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, AI, ML use cases, IoT, right? So it is not Python is not just for the web development, right? But if you have just a web development project, if your organization is, if your project is just to do a web development, so then you can choose the JavaScript. But if you have end-to-end use cases like including web development and AI ML use cases and data analytics, back end, front end, everything, right? So Python comes as a package, complete package, and you can, in that case, you can use it. But if you have just a web development and to keep it simple, you can go for JavaScript, right? And you have a lot of good frameworks there, like React, Angular JS, and Node.js, etc. So lastly, we will compare with the SQL, which is again one of the most powerful scripting or programming language in terms of a database RDBMS scenario, right? So we will take three categories again: purpose, functionality, and integration. So if you talk about purpose, so it is a general purpose programming languages used to use wide variety of applications. So Python we have seen, so it starts with a web development like data analytics, data analysis, maybe integration with different systems, everything Python can do. But SQL is more specific to relational databases, RDBMS. You just write a query in the RDBMS and you just get the try to get the result out of it. So maybe you have a lot of options there, like to use the stored procedures, like views, indexing, and different SQL programming, different SQL databases, RDBMS database that you have might have different advanced options, but still it is very specific to the relational databases. But Python is not just very specific to relational databases. It will do web development, it will do front end, it will do back end systems, and it also does the data analytics and analysis, and helps in AI ML use cases as well, because it is having a lot of libraries and supporting community which is evolving over the time. And coming to the functionality, Python capable of performing a broad range of tasks beyond manipulation and including automation, web scraping, and web application development. And SQL is primarily it's more focused on querying, inserting, updating, and deleting, or what we say DDL, DML, DCL kind of operations on top of the relational databases, right? So only that it can do. And integration, Python can connect to, you name any kind of databases. It can interact with any SQL databases in the market or a RDBMS database in the market. So using this library, it has a wide list of libraries it can use to connect to that and integrate it very easily. On the other hand, SQL also used with the database management system and often embedded in other programming languages for database operations. However, but the thing here is Python can interact with any of the it can get the data from many databases and put back the data, process it, and put back the data into any databases. So SQL is not so user friendly in terms of integration because it work in Xylo, and so it does the operations only in particular RDBMS. And if you want to interact the data in between the different RDBMS systems, it is quite not so simple in most of the cases, right? And if you talk about the use cases, comparing Python with SQL, so like you can consider a case where you have all the use cases like data science, web development, automation, scripting due to extensive library. So you can definitely go for Python. And if you just have to do a perform the database management system and often embedded into a programming languages for database operations, so in that case, you can choose SQL as a programming language. But again, you can see how how powerful a Python can be as a programming language in all of these cases, right? And summarizing with whatever we have seen so far, right? We have compared with Java, C, C++, SQL, and JavaScript as a programming languages with Python. So Python stands out definitely as a strong and like simple programming language which is more readable and also versatile, and definitely it makes it suitable in the current scenario, in the current world where we're talking about agile development or rapid development with wide range of applications, whether you do a web application, whether you do a front end, back end, or whether you do a server programming language, right? Or whether you do a data related analytics analysis or machine learning use cases, AI ML use cases. So you have all the supporting libraries that is required in Python. So that's why it makes Python a versatile programming language. So compared to other compared to other programming languages. So the thing is like you need to understand that it might not be good in terms of performance when compared to C, C++ programming languages, or be specialized programming languages like R for statistical analysis. But still, Python's broad ecosystem that we have, or easy of learning, and extensive community and libraries that support you get from the community, and the like the evolution of the Python and the evolution of the Python libraries, considering all that, it makes it a powerful tool for both beginners or you might be advanced developer working across different domains or platforms, right? So hope this was useful. Thanks for watching.